is almost as Hitler's art, okay? Someone also said that it's doing Hitler. Exactly. Which is ironic because that's probably where the AI is going anyway. But I'm serious. You can draw. Yes, I used to be a big nerd and I spent every waking moment drawing and I wasn't very great at perspective. I was as obsessed with the male physique as Michelangelo. Totally get where he was coming from with how much he loves like the musculature of man and like the distorted positions that he puts his sculptures in. I mean, it's very gay. It's gay as there's a lot of issues here with the art, but like obviously this is still pretty crazy impressive. I thought this was a bar. It's not a bar. It starts off like it's a bar unless they're like walking down a hill. It looks like it's a bar and then all of a sudden it's no longer a bar. It's just a second tent or something. Yeah, people are disappearing. Cars are disappearing. The perspective is like completely f***ed up. I am never afraid of the AI genuinely replacing me because at the top of the hour there's a 3-minute ad break and the AI is never going to come up with a better debate. There's a lot that is human about the product that I put forward and there's a lot that's human about art in general. I'm not saying that what I do is art. Obviously what I do is slop for the most part. The Sora thingy is like stuff you can generate for YouTube channels that already use things like AI titles and AI voiceover. I mean, it's great to make like B-roll over. It's actually huge to make B-roll with, okay? That's just the reality of the matter. It completely destroys like people who film stock footage, for example. It legitimately undermines a massive part of the production, right? However, having said that, it's still kind of dog. If you were to put this in a movie, like most people would be like, what are you doing? It has come a long ass way from this though. And that part is true because this was like literally a couple months ago, maybe like a couple years. No, I would say like less than a year ago. And then there are all those like versions of like Mid-Journey videos that people make that unironically are just like, it's always like the muscles are like moving in different ways and in different directions and stuff like that. And now look where OpenAI has brought AI prompted videos to. I think a lot of what is wrong with this is that once again, even like the people who write the prompts, like you give this tool to someone with like at least a little bit of a like an art degree and a little bit of understanding of art and like they can use it to tweak certain parts of the script or something like that. But I do feel as though like this in and of itself, I don't know, it's just like so basic, like the cuts are weird. As a 3D artist in Hollywood, I can confirm as a computer scientist's wet dream to not need an artist. I know. And it's so obvious. It always feels like they just want to make sure that there's not a single creative soul that touches this stuff. I will say this much. Once again, of course, all art is derivative. All art is derivative. But also what makes art is that a human makes it. I will forever stand on that. And the irony, in my opinion, is that in order to script this or prompt it, you literally have to make it as mechanical as possible, which literally takes away from the art of it all. And the technical way that you have to write a prompt and script it out and the limitations of the AI itself make it something very different. What do I mean by this? Like the limitations of the AI is that it is only a combination of all the things that existed before it. Now you can take all of the things that existed before it, try to make something new out of it, but that's not the point of AI at all. The point of AI is to replicate. The point of AI is to duplicate. The point of AI is never to innovate and create something new. There is definitely a human imagination and creation that needs to be a part of it. Therefore, I still believe that like the human component is incredibly important. That's not true. Whenever I talk about AI art, everybody gets mad at me because the art people get mad at me because I say this is going to be a tool that artists can utilize in the future. And then they get mad because they're like, well, this is like replacing my work. And then I also say that, you know, art is about imperfections. Art is about like mastering a stroke. Art is about like putting your humanity on paper in a different medium and an expression, right? And then the stem cells get mad. They're like, you're wrong, actually. This is so much better than what artists could do. It will never replace the human element. So chill, guys. No, but it doesn't matter because a lot of what we consume is slop anyway. The point is this. A lot of what you consume on a daily basis is like incredibly talented, incredibly creative people making slop for the machine, okay? And this will take the jobs. But a lot of artists also have to make that slop. They have to make that slop to survive. The greatest illustrators, in my opinion, almost always also illustrate porn because that's how you make the money. You make the money doing that, and then you can focus on that you actually care about. Maybe not like short stack goblins or whatever, but you know what I mean. I do think personally that obviously the leap that it went from like April of last year to what we are seeing in front of our eyes, like that's massive. The point of art is not simply to nail the realism. That's the issue. A lot of people that do not have any kind of background in the creative fields see this as a wonderful opportunity to just like eradicate any kind of collaboration with other humans in the creative fields. Hasan, you're being a terrible materialist. The point is to extract more value from workers without paying them more. AI is only supposed to make workers make slop faster and more efficiently. It's all about the dollars. No, you think I don't recognize that? I have always maintained the balance that I am always going to be an advocate for new technological innovations while simultaneously saying that the thing that shackles us the most is capitalism. It's the distribution of resources and it's the distribution of profit, or it's the creation of profit as a standalone interest from those who stand to gain the most, those who are the capital owners. All matter of technological innovation is used, unfortunately, to eradicate entire sectors, make it more efficient. And there's two ways to go about that. If it wasn't for profit margins at the end of every quarter, then you could actually eradicate the time that many workers spend on the craft so they have more time for themselves while still simultaneously making the same amount of money or even more money, as a matter of fact. We don't do that under capitalism because the capital owner wants to extract the most amount of surplus value. So they use AI and everything else, every technological innovation to do that. I've talked about this a million times over, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be anti-tech. I'm not an anarcho-primitivist. I'm not going to try to do a Butlerian jihad. One, there's an inevitability of exponential growth and technological progress. And two, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing inherently. The invention of the wheel advanced mankind. It was not a bad thing at all. The difference, however, was that the guy who made the wheel didn't make it for commerce. He did not have commerce in mind. Maybe he had pussy in mind. I don't know. But ultimately, it wasn't so that like the shareholders at the Wheel Inc. in whichever cave that they lived in were going to now be able to create an enclosure upon this innovation and then engage in rent-seeking behavior, engage in like some kind of commerce by being like, well, I invented the wheel so that now you can't have it unless you also give me whatever you have. The Industrial Revolution didn't steal a working class's work. It just reduced jobs available. This is entirely different, Hasan. Wait, what are you talking about? First of all, the Industrial Revolution wasn't a bad thing at all. It was a very good thing. You're literally on the goddamn internet. Shut the up. You're a Twitch watcher. It's not even remotely different. What the Industrial Revolution did is, yes, displace a ton of feudal peasants. But the reality of the matter is, it wasn't a bad thing. It was a good thing. It was the distribution of profits that came with the Industrial Revolution that was a problem. The distribution, who gets to dictate commodity production at what level. And it actually even, and according to Marx as well, for the record, for those of you who have maybe read Karl Marx, was a positive thing in comparison to what came before it. It's not like capitalism is bad across the board. Capitalism did democratize, or rather socialize, a greater distribution of the power. That's what it did. It was historically progressive in comparison to feudalism. The entire point is, it's run its course. Because of the inherent contradictions in the way that capitalism operates, it has now run its course. It is inevitable that the demise will come. This does not mean we return to feudalism. AI is not a positive development. Yes, it is. You are wrong. All matter of technological advancements in that field are good. It's a good thing. The problem is not AI or technological innovation. The problem is capitalism. That is ridiculous to say AI is not a good thing. It's ridiculous. Capitalism is what makes AI and every matter of technological innovation a bad thing. That's why productivity has skyrocketed since the 90s, and yet wages have not kept up with that. Why? Well, because of technological innovation. Technological innovation makes it so that what 10 guys used to be able to do can now be done by 4 guys. Now, in that situation, you can do one of two things. You can still make the 10 guys that you have hired increase the output and therefore increase the amount of value that they bring, the amount of surplus value that they create that they can now utilize themselves, right? Maybe higher wages. You can make it so that if you want to maintain the output the same, you can say, well, you know what? You have 10 guys here. 4 guys can basically do the job of 10 with the new technological innovation that we have. So we are going to reduce the amount of hours that the 10 guys are working for the same pay, and the output remains the same. But the third thing, and this is unfortunately what we end up doing, is to fire 6 of the guys and make the 4 guys do the work of the 10 for the same exact price point. All matter of technological innovation can be used to displace the existing workforce, or it can be used to lighten the burden of the existing workforce. It is the economic organization of society that makes it so that we displace the existing workforce. So I will never sit here and tell you that technological innovation is a bad thing.